So guys, welcome, and this will be the official deck profiling for the YouTubes. For those who don't know, I'm currently streaming on the Twitch. Alright, so this is like, and it's already breaking. Rip. This is my Raichu ParaLock item lock deck. So the whole idea with this, I have to be careful, is that we're looking to use the Raichu here. So it is the Tandem Shock Raichu. If you haven't seen it before, basically the whole idea is that it does 80 for 3 energy, but if you bring it from the bench to your active, you can do an extra 80 and do paralysis. Right now, paralysis isn't impressive because you've got Switch. You know, you've got the Balloon Liners and Bird Keeper and everything like that. But that being said, only Luca Metal plays Balloon Liner, and I think it's only Dragonbolt and maybe one other deck that runs the Bird Keeper. Most decks rely solely on their Switch card to get out of paralysis. So that's where this guy comes in. Your omastar. Get out of here. So, Fossil Bind. I like that Raichu card, super cute. Oh, it's my favorite one. I wish I had 2 of them. Or at least 3 now. Omastar. So this one, Fossil Bind. As long as you have fewer Pokemon in play than your opponent, they can't play any item cards from their hand. So that means they can't play the switches anymore. They can't play their air balloons, they can't play the reset stuff. They can't play their crushing hammer and their metal sources. You can kind of start to see where this deck all of a sudden starts to work. Where you paralyze them and they can't get out of it. And then you just do 160 again with all these looping options. We also do have the new card, the Electrode here. We'll zoom into here. If you haven't seen this one, Buzz Zap Generator. Once during your turn, if this Pokemon is on your bench, now that's important, it has to be on your bench. You may search your deck for up to 2 electric energy cards and attach them to your electric Pokemon any way you like, then shuffle your deck. If you attach any energy this way, this Pokemon is knocked out. So normally, in say like a Pikarom deck or something like that, that would be, you know, losing that one prize is a bit devastating, but this is more of like a control sort of archetype where you're restricting your opponent's ability to attack, which means all of a sudden, your reset stamps, they just get an increase in value because all of a sudden you reset stamping them to maybe 2 or 1, even potentially 1 card when you paralyze them, which means that, hey, guess what? You've probably got them in checkmate because they're only going to have 2 cards to work with, and that is absolutely stellar when that happens. So we've got all that. So we've got a 2-2 line of those, 2-2 line of the Omastar. We still got the Tapu Koko Prism Star. You get back down there, and the 1 Dedenne. We're only running the 1 Dedenne. I don't want to, because in this deck you're not looking to bench too many Pokemon. You have to be very careful with how you bench, because in the end you do have to have less Pokemon than your opponent. Sorry I missed that. What's the stadium for? Oh, we'll get there, mate. We'll get there. You've got the 4 Research, 2 Marnie, 4 Bird Keeper. Bird Keeper is very important in this deck because you are trying to constantly rotate your Raichus. What you can do is we've got the Pokédolls in here, so you could Bird Keeper into a Lily's Pokédoll. Use the Lily's Pokédoll to put the Pokédoll back into your deck. And then you're switching back into the Raichu and the Alolan Raichu. You only got the 1 Boss's Order. In the end, you're just trying to take advantage of your opponent not being able to attack. So you kill whatever you can. And this does enough against your tag team and your VMAX sort of decks. Just the 2 energy switch for now. I could see this increasing to 3 at some point. We've got the 4 switch, very important. 3 evolution incense. This one is I want Pokecoms in this list. That's probably like the big thing that I want to fit in. Mainly because of these the Omastar and the Electro, but you know what? The 3 will have to do. 2 reset stamp, because as I said earlier, the reset stamp item lock play is amazing if you can get it all off. Now, we are running 4 of the Pokemon Research Labs, because if you can notice, we're playing no fossils. We've got 0 fossils here, so we are very much relying on getting the stadium. If you haven't seen this one before, it's the same one that Aeropod uses Once during each player's turn, that player may search their deck for up to 2 Pokemon that evolved from unidentified fossil, put those onto the bench, and shuffle their deck. If a player searches their deck this way, their turn ends. So that's our turn 1 play. Because in the end, the odds of getting a turn 1 attack is very difficult. So our first turn is all about getting a Raichu with an energy attached, getting a Voltorb out, preferably, but also an Omanite. Omanite's more important. If you can get 1, 2, 3 turn 1, you are in a fantastic spot. Which is why I do want the Pokecoms in there, just to increase the odds where you might be like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to put the omastar back into the deck and grab myself a Voltorb, that sort of stuff. Short of that, we're just running the 8 energy, 4 speed energy. That way we are able to power these guys up pretty consistently. And that's our game plan. It's just continuously looping the Raichu. So what you can do, I'll actually show you a couple of plays. So we'll just go group. So one of the things that you might do is, as I was saying before, we'll grab ourselves a, like, we'll see like the perfect board state, yeah? What you really want to see. We'll probably have like a Dedenne on the bench if that was sort of like the average sort of case. We'll grab ourselves the Pokédoll, Raichu. So what you might find is you have a board state that looks very similar to 1, 2, and then you can look for a air balloon, attach that to the Raichu. Then you could have like 2 options. You could say retreat into your Pokédoll or even into a Dedenne. Play your Bird Keeper. Get him back into the active. Or, oops, that can go back in the deck. Or even get back into your deck, thank you. Or, because you've got the air balloon, you can just free retreat. Put this into the active. Pop this, goes back into your deck. This guy comes back out. Again, 160. You do have a bit of a risk, which is that if your Raichu in this position gets popped, you could be in a very bad state of affairs. So that's where Electrode comes in. So sometimes, especially if your opponent overbenches early, you might even sit in a position where it actually looks very similar to, say, this. And then you're like, okay, well, they've knocked out the Raichu. Oh no, it's a Raichu, that's now dead. Omastar's up. And then you go, okay, so I need a search. You could go like, okay, I'm going to Dedenne. Cool. Pull a lot of cards. I found myself the Electrode, my secondary one of these. Attach an energy for turn. Pop this. My opponent takes the prize. Hit them with a reset stamp. And I would also get 2 energy from the deck as well. 1, 2. Retreat. Chuck him up. All of a sudden, you've reset stamped your opponent to 2. And paralyzed them. That is a very strong turn. If up here was an Eternus, they're in for a very bad time. Another thing that you'll find with this sort of deck is that more often than not, your GX attack, this one, there you go. So your Lightning Ride GX, it does 150, but if you have 2 more energy attached to it, it does an extra 100 damage. And in both cases, when you use your GX, you swap it with one of your bench Pokemon. Very rarely will you attach for 5 energy. You can now with the Voltorb. It makes it a lot easier to do that. All of a sudden, like you've got the 3 energy and you go, alright, cool, I need to blow something up now. You could just go, okay, Electrode, pop, get those 2 extra energy you needed, GX. Otherwise, even with just the 3 energy, you could have, say, a doll on the bench. GX for 1, so you could say hit your opponent for the 160 and be like, oh, okay, well, I've done that. you do your whole switch play, you've hit the Eternatus for another 160, so you just need to do that 20 extra damage. You then use your GX attack to take the knockout. You put the Dole active. So then all of a sudden your opponent needs to have a Gust card to do damage onto that Raichu. I've found in the current standard, which I do have a current standard version of this list, it is really honestly missing the Electrode. That's what's stopping it from taking off, is that being able to power up. But this has been a huge play so often. When I take a knockout on an ADP, that's more often what I'm doing. Same with like Mewtwo, paralyze it, take the knockout, put up a Pokédoll, and just go, mate, you've got to have Gust if you want to try to deal with this big bad boy. But as you can see, Electrode really helps this deck stack. But guys, thank you very much. That is indeed my Raichu paralyzing item shock lock of 2020. It's sitting there with a lot of potential. It's sitting there with a lot of potential. Now I've been thoroughly enjoy playing it for fun on the standard ladder, but I do believe with the Electrode that it has a huge amount of potential. Until then, guys, take care, and I hope you guys have a wonderful evening.